The delay in passing the Capital Markets Authority Act impeded venture capital and private equity players from operating in Uganda freely. That was the headache that Pearl Capital Partners struggled with in the last 18 years.
We did not have local legislation and policy that allows you to register funds the way they are registered in other domiciles like Mauritius, Luxembourg, Dubai, where you have limited liability partnerships, which allows the LPs that bring capital into the fund to limit their liability to the capital they have brought in the fund. If they had set up a normal company limited by shares, it means that if the company had issues, you could lift the veil or go after the LPs, and they're not going to find that comfortable. So they want, when they set up a fund, they have decisions to make for that fund. They have a purpose for that fund. If the fund is going to be 10 years or 12-year life cycle, then it should live that life. If it has fund objectives, they should be clear to be achieved. And then they should work with the fund manager to co-achieve these objectives.
With no regulations, here are some of the hurdles that riddled this investment space.
The Capital Markets Authority Act had not taken care of regulation of PE and venture capital funds. The URSB had not had these guidelines, and therefore were not getting to register funds as LLPs under URSB. We had other hurdles like double taxation, where if you have a fund, it has invested in companies like you've had. We've invested in Enmiro, we've invested in KK Foods, we've invested in Pristine Food, but all these companies are paying taxes. But then when it comes to us exiting from them, and we're going to sell our equity stakes to other people, we are required to again pay tax, or even the fund should recognize another tax for any gains from the investments here, whether it's capital gains, whether it's anything. Now, what does that mean? It becomes counterproductive. It's double taxation.
The future is brighter now with the regulations in space. But what do they mean to the different sector players?
Two things to expect. One, there have been funds in the market that have been set up as companies. Now, the question is, how do these companies convert into a partnership so that they can be licensed by CMA? Two, the new ones that are going to now to be set up. How are they setting up? What do you need to do? Where do you need to file documents and information? And then, having done that, the licensing part, the regulator is CMA. So CMA has also issued new regulations setting out what are the requirements they would need for the fund to have in place prior to or at the time of setting up.
After aligning with the global landscape where private equity and venture capital providers are limited liability companies, Dixon Sembatia of CMA says there will be many more of them locally domiciled, which is great for the economy.
Being locally domiciled here brings a lot of benefits for economy. Okay, I think when you're locally based, okay, then you're in a better position to identify potential candidates to absorb your capital or potential candidates to fund. Okay, in addition, there's a whole ecosystem that supports a private capital fund. Okay, and once they set up a domicile, then that ecosystem also benefits.
The regulations are a breath of fresh air to the Venture Capital and Private Equity Association, as they believe that there will be more investment in Uganda, as has been seen in other regulated economies.
Regulation shows the willingness of government to support private sector and the growth of private sector within the country. And I think this very much encourages investors who are looking at Uganda as a destination. We're seeing this regulation bringing also aligning with global standards, and so giving a lot of investor confidence. We're going to see a lot more distribution of capital to our entrepreneurs, and that means, of course, growth of entrepreneurship. It means increased jobs.
The future is definitely bright for the different players, and CMA says they are ready to put the regulations to test, seeing what works and what needs improvement. Joanne Salmon, NTV.